All right, we're back, and I don't know how we're going to get through this show in an hour this week. We've got Belichick's back coaching. We've got lawmakers trying to make flag planting a felony in Ohio. We've got a lot of NFL to talk about. We've got playoffs for the college football to talk about. Chris is back.
Woo!
We missed you. What's
I
going
miss
on?
you. It was hard to listen to that episode for an hour and 15 minutes and not be able to say anything and just take it. It was tough. I'm happy to be back. I missed it, and a lot has happened. I can't wait till we get to kind of my expertise, which is the NFL. But obviously, we got to start with college football.
Obviously. Derek, how's your week?
It was
SEC
great.
champs.
Yeah, man. Feel pumped about that. Obviously didn't come without some injuries that, there's been a lot of writing about here lately. But yeah, I'm proud of the dogs. Hard schedule that they navigated through all season, and Kirby Smart made that pretty well known right in front of the SEC commissioner post game. And yeah, 2 wins against Texas. I mean, that's not only is, not saying Texas is the greatest thing, but a good college football program that they beat twice in 1 year, and that's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Yeah, and I feel like we manifested Beck getting replaced, just maybe not in the manner that he did, but hopefully he's all right. But looks like he might be done for the year. And
Hopefully, he's not all
Dumfries-
right. Hopefully, if you're a Georgia fan, hopefully he's not all right. That's my opinion.
Well, you never want to wish injury upon someone.
You don't wish injury, but when it's happened, you just
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Gunner and everything else. But all right, let's get right into it. I'm sharing my screen. We've debated.
It's
about
final.
this.
Hey, Mark, it's final now.
It's
Okay,
final.
like we actually have real games between real teams. There's no more hypotheticals about who's going to play who. We got it. Let's see it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. We have to do this every year. It's just changing every week.
Yeah, it's it kept changing, but here we are. Finally,
There she is.
Final. We have the 12. There's a lot to talk about, obviously. So we'll go through it each way. I'll start off with the big one. I'll start with you, Derek. Alabama, are they unlucky, or that's the way the cookie crumbles? Did it to themselves. What do you think?
I think it's the way the cookie crumbles underneath like I said, we keep talking about underneath the guidelines of the way the committee's set up, that they were the first team out. And given that SMU, obviously Clemson, Alabama fans are not liking Clemson because without that victory in the ACC championship, Alabama would have gotten in. But, Clemson won the conference championship, which allowed SMU, which was a 1-loss team at the time. Now they have 2 losses, stayed in it. And, way cookie crumbles. Sorry, Alabama fans. You're out. Good luck next year.
It's pretty ironic that Clemson's the team. I would say the last decade, they've had a pretty good rivalry in playoffs. Yeah, a lot of people debating about who was the better team, who should have been in. Chris, what do you think?
I mean, this isn't a last year, Florida State undefeated situation, right? I mean, Alabama had multiple opportunities. They got rocked off the field by freaking Oklahoma. So yeah, they don't really have any ground to stand on, in my opinion. It came down between SMU and Alabama, and SMU, I mean, they were getting rocked early in that game and they actually came back and looked pretty good. So I think SMU would have had an argument too about if they hadn't got in. And nobody is arguing. I don't know how many people would argue who the better team is. I think the majority of people would say Alabama is the better team. But at this point, it's the overall season. And they said they were not going to punish people for making it to the championship game, right? Isn't that a big thing that they talked about all year? So it just didn't seem fair to punish SMU if they lost that game, and Clemson ended up winning it. So somebody had to be out. So you lose 3 games. I just don't see why you have a lot of ground to stand on other than you're Alabama, right? I mean, Ole Miss lost 3 games, right? I mean, we had a couple of SEC teams, South Carolina, all those teams were in that same boat. They were just getting that based on that they're Alabama. So no, I didn't have any problem with it at all.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily either the loss for Alabama. I don't think it was. I think it was the losses that they had. like 2 out of the 3. Obviously, they lost to Tennessee, which obviously we know now is a pretty good stellar program. But they lost to Vanderbilt, and that loss to Oklahoma really just hurt their chances. I feel like had they been against all ranked top 15, maybe even top 25 opponents, we would probably have a different argument. But they weren't. I think losses hurt them more than their wins.
Yeah, and Chris, I think you made a good point, which I was going to say. It's not the best 12 teams, right? There's qualifying. There's like different approaches to it. You can't have 12 SEC teams or 6 Big Ten teams and 6 SEC teams. Like, there's going to be teams that aren't as good that are going to make it. That's how this works. And then the other argument, the athletic director from Alabama came out and said, "Well, we're going to look at our schedule," and like it was like a threat almost. I was like, "Dude, shut up!" Like, you lost 3 winnable games. You should have been in. Didn't make the championship of your conference. Too bad. I think they made the right decision. I think it would have been harsh for SMU to get kicked out. And I would love to see an SMU or a Boise or an Arizona make a bit of a run, cause an upset. Like, that's exciting. I don't always want the 12 best teams in there. I want the teams that did well in their conference. And then again, if you start favoring the Big Ten and the SEC with all these teams, then what's the incentive for the Big 12 and Mountain West? Like, there has to be some incentive for other teams. There has to be some representation from the ACC and things like that. So I think it was the right decision. And we never know. We'll see. But that was the biggest debate overall. And there's 2 sides to it. Everyone wants to talk about strength of schedule and strength of conference and everything. And then you want to talk about championship games. There's no real right or wrong answer. Like, they say what they want to, look at. Oh, we'll look at strength of schedule. We'll look at this. But there's always going to be offsetting arguments. So that's what the committee's there for, to discuss these things and put it to a vote. And that's what they voted. So this is it. Which round 1 matchup excites you the most, Derek?
For me, it's going to be Tennessee and Ohio State. Man, I'm looking forward to that game like so bad. Out of all of them, that's the one I'm like, whoa, I definitely can't miss that one. For sure.
Yeah, I think there's a lot.
I think that's the one everybody's. I think that's the biggest one everybody's looking at. I would say, because obviously you got Big Ten, you got SEC, and I just think, and obviously, the winner of that game, plays Oregon. So it's just, it's a huge matchup.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's been like begging to play since they lost to Michigan a couple of weeks ago. Like, they just want to clean that slate. And then Tennessee, I think Tennessee can be a little unlucky that they didn't get a home final. So I think they want to go out there and prove, that they're a better team. Yeah, it's going to be a great one. Depends on which team shows up. Ohio State has been excellent all year. They then had a hiccup against Michigan, and people start to doubt them a bit. But I think it's going to be a real close one. I'm looking forward to like an SMU and Penn State. Like, just Penn State. I think SMU could do something here. I think Penn State. I'm really excited to see Penn State in a playoff environment. I think that's going to be exciting. That stadium's real loud. And then Clemson and Texas as well. I mean, Clemson snuck in there, but you never know with Debo and all that. So
I don't know. I think Clemson's road is going to end here pretty soon.
Well,
I don't know about that.
I want to see how Texas goes against a playoff team. They haven't really beaten anyone this year. I guess Texas A&M, you can say maybe might have been a win, but I haven't seen them, win really well. So we'll see. Again, a home game's gonna be really cool there as well. All right, another argument that people have been debating is the
seeding.
The seeding.
The seeding here, yeah.
All right, Chris, what do you think about it?
Well, we can talk about Oregon. We talk about Georgia. Which one you want to talk about first?
Let's start with Oregon. All right, so the argument is that they're the number 1 seed, and they're arguably going to play 2 of the best teams outside of the bye round, so Ohio State and Tennessee, straight up. So and whereas Georgia gets Indiana or Notre Dame, who people argue are a lesser quality side. Chris, what do you think? I have a lot of thoughts about this.
The first thing I would say is cry me a river. Okay. The second thing I would say is if Oregon played Georgia's schedule, they wouldn't be the number 1 seed to begin with. Georgia had a much tougher road to be able to even make it to the playoffs between having to play Texas twice and Alabama and go on and go on and go on when Oregon was playing nothing but cupcakes all year. And I know they beat Ohio State in a close game, but that was the only like big win they had the whole year. So no. Oregon's there's want to be the top team, which that's fine. They were undefeated. You want to give them the number 1 seed, but yeah, you want to be the best. You got to beat the best. So I don't feel bad for them at all. They shouldn't get to have a soft schedule during this entire season and then get a cupcake road right to the finals.
Yeah, they're playing. They're actually going to play a game now that Georgia already had 3 of throughout their regular season. You know what I'm saying? Like
so. I mean, if they're the best team by far, which a lot of people are saying they are, why is everybody so terrified that they might have to play Tennessee or Ohio State again? Like, I mean, I just don't understand why they're like so chicken about having to play a game against an 8 or a 9 seed. So Ohio State hasn't looked good. They lost to Michigan. So, I mean, why would they be afraid of that? I just don't understand that at all. It just seems like Oregon fans think their team isn't really as good as it might be on paper, and they're a little nervous that they're going to get knocked out by one of these opponents.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, from round 2 onwards, they're all bowl games. They're all neutral ground, right? So there's no advantage once you get there. It's just you're playing a team. If you play Ohio State in the second round, whatever, you might have played them in the semifinals or the final. You're going to play a good team eventually, so it doesn't really matter. And again, it's the same as we just spoke about. Like, it's not always going to be the 4 best teams at the end of the day. You might get a really good matchup, like Oregon and Ohio State in round 2 is great. That would be worthy of a semifinal. Let's have it round 2. What's the difference? Who cares?
And they're terrified that Oregon has to play Texas. Georgia beat them twice. I mean, how many times should Georgia have to beat Texas in the same season? It's just ridiculous.
The committee has ranked at number 3 at the moment. Beat that team twice.
Right.
Beat Tennessee, the number 17, and also beat Clemson, who's the ACC champion, all in the same year. So yeah, like it's just, I'm with Chris, man, all day long. Like it's the way it fell. At the end of the day, you just got to keep winning.
Exactly. If you're the best team, go and be the best. It doesn't matter who you play.
Yep.
Yeah. If Ohio State had beat Michigan, they wouldn't be the 8th seed. So, they obviously they'd be a lot higher up than that. So, I mean, they can't just say, "Oh, Ohio State is a good program, so they should have to, be higher seed," or what. They lost to Michigan. So I just don't understand. Ryan Day has never won a big game in his entire career at Ohio State. His job is basically on the line right now because he can't beat Michigan. So like people thinking Ohio State is this powerhouse right now. I just don't see that. I don't know what they're smoking over there.
Yeah, the only argument I could see would be Penn State and Ohio State switching, because Ohio State beat them this year already. So you could talk about that, but we spoke about this. It's always how you finish, and that has a lot of weight into it. So that Michigan game cost them. But again, if they want to beat the best, they gotta be the best. They gotta beat the best. What do we think about Notre Dame? Do we think they can do any damage? I think everyone has kind of, because of that loss to Northern Illinois earlier in the year, has just written them off. But they have looked pretty good since. And I'm excited to see them go against Indiana and then potentially Georgia, because their run defense has been really good, albeit probably haven't played the best team. So do we think that they could do some damage? I mean, we've got some people, Chris, that we spoke to that has them going all the way to the final. So
a lot of people have them. I mean, people are acting like the first round that it's just a shoo-in that they're going to face Georgia, and most people are saying that they're going to beat Georgia as well. I mean, Notre Dame's look good, but look at their schedule. Who are they playing? I mean, and they're just running all over everybody, but they're playing lesser competition. So hopefully it's a good game between Notre Dame and Indiana. They'll give us kind of a better maybe assessment of these teams when they play Georgia or what have you. But it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to gauge based on the level of competition they've played so far.
Yeah. Derek, anything else stand out to you with this bracket?
No, I do think there are going to be some changes, I think, in the upcoming next few years, I feel like, with the way that they designed it. Just because I think you're going to have to eventually just get rid of the like I said, you play a regular season and you take the top 12 ranked teams. So there's a lot of debate. I just feel like with the teams, some of these teams that have gotten in for the, I'm sorry, but there's 3 or 4 teams in there that just would not have made it into the college football playoff.
Who?
Boise State wouldn't have made it. Arizona State would not have made it.
But see,
Clemson wouldn't have made it.
but this is what I'm talking about. Like Arizona State's Big 12 champion, Boise State's Mountain West champion. So if you're saying they wouldn't make it, then you're essentially, making those conferences useless or not. There's no use for them if the champions from those conferences.
Yeah, exactly. Get rid of conferences. Get rid of conferences. Get rid of conference championships, and play. You set your schedule, and you base it off strength of schedule. You have someone, obviously that has to take into play, and then you have your rankings. I mean, Boise State wants to play with the big boys. They need to be playing SEC teams, be playing Big 12 teams, Big 10 teams, not Mountain West teams. Same thing with the Pac-12.
The issue is if you talk about like the NFL, right? Like there's always some crappy teams that shouldn't get in because they're in a bad division, but the divisions always rotate about who are the good divisions, who are the bad divisions. The problem is now that we have these 2 powerhouses, right? You got the SEC and the Big 10. I don't think it's going to be cyclical. Like I don't think you're going to see, the Big 12 be the big boys one year and then, the Mountain West. So exactly. I understand both of y'all's points. I understand what Derek's saying, but I understand too what Mark's saying, that like if these conferences are just thrown to the wayside, I guess if you did that, you could force these teams to have to join the big boys if they want to be taken seriously. But it just seems like the road is going to be just 2 super conferences, because these little ones, if they get rid of that structure they have now, they're not going to be able to compete. They'll never be able to be in the top 12 to be into the playoffs.
Or design it like the NFL. You have 2, like AFC, NFC, you have divisions within the conferences, and they rotate the schedule.
Or they could do like a play-in format where the winner, I don't know, like the winner of the Big 12 plays the winner of the Mountain West and that team gets in. I don't know, something like that. But I understand it. It's just, I understand Mark's perspective too about like,
I do, but as a football fan, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like the setup. I don't like the people going through the conference championships and the way they seeding them. I don't like it.
I like the idea of promotion and relegation. So
those are big words. We're sports fans, man. You're gonna have to like expand on that for us.
Well, this is the English or the soccer concept. Okay?
Okay.
You have the best teams in the top conferences, and every year the worst ranked teams from those conferences go down, and then the best go up. Right, and so a Boise State, for example, won Mountain West. They would be promoted to the Big 10, and whoever finished last in the Big 10 this year would be demoted or relegated to the Mountain West. So you have your 2 big conferences. The other ones still have a place, and you might have like a, like what does March Madness do? They have like the second ranked teams with a little playoff. Maybe the bowl games are a little bit more like the secondary type approaches. I don't know. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. There's both sides to it. I'm just excited for this. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think we all agree that this is better than anything that they've had in the past.
Oh,
I think we could all
sure.
agree.
I've been wanting an extended playoff compared to the 4-team playoff for sure. So this is way better, and you're gonna be able to watch some teams that we normally don't watch, right? Like it's covering most of the nation. Different teams for different areas, and who knows? I mean, by the end of it, guys, I could be completely wrong. We could see some upsets in here and be like, oh, well, whatever I said, just throw that to the wayside. Because if Boise State upsets a Penn State, or I mean, they beat Penn, like say for instance, if Boise State beats Penn State or Arizona State beats Texas, then yeah, I'll be swallowing my words, won't I?
Yeah.
I was about to say, I think Boise State against SMU or Penn State, that might be all right.
Yeah,
they could do something. And Arizona State are riding a wave right now. Like they got that young coach. They're just loving life. They're running back. Holy hell! That was the first time I really watched them in the Big 12 championship. That dude is. I can't believe he hasn't got as much recognition nationally as like Ashton Jeanty. He was bouncing off dudes. I think he had like 3 or 4 40-yard plus runs. So I'd like to see him go. We'll see. Anything else on the bracket?
No, just excited for it. The games to start again. Ready to watch some
yeah, so we got
games.
The 21st of December. We've got a 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. We've got 12 hours of playoff college football. It's gonna be something.
Awesome.
All right. Let's talk about Bill Belichick.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So, I'll be honest with you.
How the mighty have fallen is what I would say. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I saw that he was interviewing with UNC, I was like, he's using them to leverage some other offer or some other NFL team. Like, this is complete leverage. And then he meets with them again. I'm like, okay. And there's no other teams like being mentioned. Like, oh, maybe what? And then just before we came on live, it's announced that he's going to sign with them. I mean, I don't even know what to say. But Chris, how's a 73-year-old coach going to adapt to the college landscape right now?
Okay, unless they did this to just get headlines, because nobody really talks about football in North Carolina. When I think of a Bill Belichick, I think of him as the epitome of not a college football coach. I don't see it there. A college football head coach, I mean, obviously you're coaching the team, but I mean, you're so much more than that, right? You're a recruiter, you're a speaker, you do all these different things. Bill Belichick was a terrible general manager for the Patriots when that's the reason why they lost everything, because he has no idea what to do in the front office. He's a great defensive mind. Obviously, it can be talked about as the greatest NFL coach of all time. I don't see those skills translating to recruiting 17, 18-year-old kids to play football in North Carolina. I don't see that translating at all. He's been terrible on offense his entire career, unless he's had some offensive guru with him or Tom Brady or what have you. And obviously all of the football in college, a lot of it has translated to offense side of the ball. I don't just to make a splash to get a name in there. I can understand that point of it, but from a winning perspective and from his perspective, I don't understand it at all. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like a farce or something. I thought it was what's that the paper, the Onion or whatever. I thought it was like when I first read it, I was like, this can't be real, and I guess it is. So good luck to him. Maybe it's because he's dating a 22-year-old now. Maybe he thinks he's like in that college realm or whatever, however old she is. I think she's like 25 or something like that. Maybe he thinks,
Maybe she enrolled and he wanted to be close to her.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
I don't know what's going on. I thought he was going to get a NFL job next year. They kept talking about it. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? But I guess he's going to be coaching the Tar Heels. So good luck to him.
Derek.
Yeah, it could be disaster, or it could turn out to be a great hire. I don't know how the kids, in this ever living world of NILs and these young kids like going to play for Bill Belichick. Like, I don't know how how do you recruit that? You're like, I'm 72. Like, of course they know him as this great NFL coach, but I think for him to be successful at North Carolina, he's going to have to bring a really good supporting cast around him. Get some good, assistant coaches around that can really recruit. I don't see it's him going into these houses being like, come to North Carolina, So I think he'll need a great supporting cast around him. But hey, who knows? Or maybe it's North Carolina just to draw tickets. I don't know. Get people interested in North Carolina football again. I'm not sure.
It just, the NFL college, they just don't seem to translate to each other for whatever it is, right? You've had some of the greatest college football coaches of all time, right? And Nick Saban, terrible in the NFL, right? And Urban Meyer was a disaster in the NFL. So, I mean, I know this is kind of the reverse going to college, but it just seems like it's a totally different world. I don't understand it's football, but it just seems their responsibilities as head coach, it's just totally different based on college and NFL.
Yeah.
Derek, you said he needs a good supporting cast. I think his supporting cast is going to be Benjamin Franklin, Abe Lincoln, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, all with a shade of green. Like,
well, he'll have his son with him. Let's have old Steven.
That guy, the crackhead.
Yeah, yeah, the crackhead, the one that looks like I can't say certain things on the podcast, but
sorry, YouTube.
The one
sponsored.
The one that's always fidgeting on the sideline.
So, they had to have promised him a bucket load of cash, like not just him, but also him to go and spend in NIL. Have to. I can't imagine what other reason would you get them? Dude, Drake May came through UNC, did he not? Yeah, but
yes, he did.
Outside of him, I don't know anyone that is a UNC graduate playing in the NFL. To your point,
you have Mitt. what's the backup quarterback now for? Gosh, he's played for a few teams. He was with the Bills for a little while. In the Mitch Trubisky, the Bears.
Trubisky, the
Trubisky?
Bears. He was on Steelers.
He was a UNC quarterback.
Well, that's not really helping the case.
I don't want to offend any UNC people, but it just seems beneath a Bill Belichick, who's considered by a lot to be the greatest NFL coach in the history of the NFL, to just be going to a lower tier college program. It just seems, I don't know, it's just crazy to me.
You think they could maybe use his expertise? I mean, him obviously being an NFL coach, having NFL development, being 8-time Super Bowl champion as a coach. I mean, does any of that translate to kids being like, "Hey, come to North Carolina and play for this guy"? I think it might have some weight. I mean, obviously the guy. That's the problem he's going to have to figure out is like it's going to be much more in depth as far as developing these kids, where you already have somewhat of a finished product by the time they get to an NFL draft.
Yeah, just the biggest thing with him is like the college football coaches that are the best. They're tough on their guys, but they're players coaches, right? I mean, think of Kirby's guys. His players would like jump in front of a train for that guy. Bill Belichick has never been that. He's always been kind of like, it's my way or the highway. This is the way we do it. Like, if you don't like it, then just like get the heck out of here. And I just don't know how that's going to translate with a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are on these NIL deals now who can enter the they're not contracts, right? They're all on these, they can enter the transfer portal whenever they want to. So if they feel sad or offended or what have you, they can just bounce, and you can't do that in the NFL. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's the only word I can say for it.
I mean, there's a reason why Saban kind of abruptly gave it away. I think it's a lot. It is round the clock, year end, just nonstop. So good luck to him. All right, moving on. Flag planting in Ohio State would become a felony under a law introduced by Representative Josh Williams. So, this one reminds me of Drake suing Universal about the song. And just, what are you doing? So, by the way, the law is only introduced in Ohio State games, not anywhere in the state, just Ohio State. It's a felony. Is this just, if you're a Michigan fan right now, you must just be sitting back laughing. This is so embarrassing if I'm Ohio State. What are your thoughts on it?
It's embarrassing. You don't want to plant the flag on your field and win the freaking game.
Cry baby, cry me a river. Like Chris said, don't lose. Why is it their fan base just gets under my freaking skin, dude?
I mean, it's just such a weird thing. And by the way, if that was a felony, that makes me want to plant the flag like 10 times more than if it's like just oh, here's your felony, boom, shove it. It just takes sore losing to a whole new level. Like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to introduce a bill that makes this illegal moving forward. So I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about that. I just thought it was hilarious.
I haven't even seen that or read that, but yeah, it's pretty funny.
It carries a penalty of 6 to 12 months in prison and a $2,500 fine. So,
I don't know if those players are going to be able to afford that. That's going to be tough. I don't know. It's going to be breaking their wallets.
So, all right, whatever.
I don't know what to say about
that's all I had for that one.
It's a joke.
Lane Griffin, he's been pretty vocal over the weekend. Called it a joke that they missed out. I think he made an interesting point about the transfer portal, though. What do you guys think about this? He doesn't like the idea that the transfer portal is starting now, when we're still in season and the playoffs haven't begun yet. He thinks it should happen after the season. I think he has a point. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, there's just so much. That's Lane Kiffin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
There's just so much that happens in the offseason in college football. I don't know. I guess you could delay it a little bit or what have you. But, I mean, these guys are trying to figure out where they're going to go. You have school implications. They have to, transfer and, all this stuff. It's more than just about going from one football team to another football team. So I kind of understand what he's saying. At the same time, I mean, there's just so much with the recruiting and like all this stuff that needs to happen. So, but yeah, could they delay it a few weeks? I guess they could. I mean, but still, this is still it's a new phenomenon, right? So they're trying to work all this stuff out here at the same time. So until they have some kind of regulations and rules and in place for these guys, it just seems like the wild west out there, man. Like every day, it's like people. We know, me and Mark know some guys they get sad, they get happy one day because they get somebody from the portal or recruit, and then they're sad the next day because a good guy that they had on their team enters the portal. So it's just this whirlwind of emotions these teams are going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at, I know Georgia. I've had a few guys enter the portal. So these guys are on the team still. They're entering the portal. You want to go back and convince them otherwise, but then you're also trying to focus on a playoff game. It's a lot to deal with. So I don't know. I just love this tweet. What do you say? It's a dumb system, or something like that. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. And again, this is the first season, so it's new. Everything's going to evolve, but I feel it'll be similar to the free agency period. Right after the season, you'll have your transfer portal period, and you get teams going through there.
And maybe if somebody else said Lane Kiffin, like that guy, I don't want to listen to him.
There needs to be, obviously with the transfer portal, there needs to be some stricter restrictions and like guidelines. I don't like the fact that they just do it as many times as they want. There needs to be a limit to that. I feel like one time, like you have one time to do it, and then it's over with. And then also, if there's two different transfer portal periods, one's in December that's starting, just started Monday, and then there's one in April. And so I understand they're trying to get the ones in December in for spring training games and all that, get them enrolled in school. I would just say if you're going to transfer there, you have to wait until April. I'm sorry, there's going to be a delay there. You come in April, it's too big of a distraction for the teams that are playing in these playoffs to deal with, and you shouldn't have players just up and entering the transfer portal on teams that are still in contention here. It's just not good. I don't think it's good for the coaches, and I don't think it's good for the players, especially when they're having teammates just being like, okay, I'm out. You're still in the college football playoffs. I mean, geez, and these are valuable guys. I mean, they may not be starters, but they are like second string backups that are very valuable when it comes to injuries.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
I think it needs to be just happen in April. I need to get away with the December one.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin's a weird dude, man. Like he's very active on Twitter. I was like, you're a head coach of a program. Like you're supposed to get off.
He wants to be a celebrity.
He wants to be cool, man. He's trying to relate to the guys, the 17 and 18-year-olds.
Wild. Yeah, he posted a 200-word like essay about why Ole Miss should have been in the playoffs.
So they're talking to Kirby and Sark, and they were like, "Hey, y'all got to text Kirby." Yeah, they were like, "We know who texts the most and always riles everybody up." And they didn't say the name, and everybody knew they were talking about Lane Kiffin. So.
Had to be Lane. All right. Any other college stories worth bringing up? We ready to move on?
I think we covered a lot. I think just ready for these games to be played.
Yeah, we got a couple of weeks. So we got Army Navy this weekend, and then we'll get into full playoff mode. Maybe next week we'll do some bracket predictions and everything like that. So let's move on.
I do want to make a shout out to my boy Kirby. Obviously Kirby, great coach, but he needs to chill out a little bit on calling out these people. The college football committee, the commissioner. I mean, dude, we understand we played a hard schedule, but you got to chill out a little bit. You're going to start rubbing people the wrong way, and they're going to penalize us for it. So let's just chill out.
Well, wait, let's quickly, before that's a good point, let's have a look at who Kirby Smart has blasted this season. He's blasted the CFB committee. He's blasted the SEC. He's blasted his own fans. Yet Carson Beck is his golden boy. Hasn't said one bad thing about Carson Beck. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, he's channeled a lot of angry energy towards everyone this season. And yeah, I mean, I thought he was drunk at that SEC championship presentation. He was grabbing the mic off the presenter and screaming into it. Damn, he's pumped. But I mean, it's been a big season for him. So We'll see how they go.
I was
but,
proud of you too of the video you sent us. Who's that coming down the tracks? Didn't think you had it in you.
Yeah, I was a couple of margaritas deep, and I was drunk on excitement.
The Aussie boy, he's got it in him.
Yeah. Everyone was like, he doesn't sound like he's from Georgia, but whatever. I'll sing along with him. I was pumped. All right, NFL. Chris, what do you want to talk about? It's been like 3 weeks for you.
Where is it? Do y'all have it for me?
What do you want?
What do you want?
My written. I want my written.
Yeah.
Well, you can make it verbal since we're on YouTube or whatever. But like, I want my verbal apology.
Can
I get it?
You're not getting it.
So y'all know exactly what it is.
You're not getting it. They're still a contender. You're still not getting it.
So what happened was I wasn't here last week, and they did like a 30-minute segment. It felt like 30 minutes. I don't know if it was 30 minutes. This is what it felt like in my head about the Buffalo Bills and how the Buffalo Bills are the top team in the NFL. That's what I was told. The top team in the NFL.
One of.
No. We can play it back. He said, Mark said they're the top team in the NFL. And I think it was early in the week after I listened to the podcast where I said, after the Bills lose to the Rams this week, okay, we're not even going to be talking about the Bills anymore, and nobody's going to act like they defended the Bills like they're the best thing since sliced bread. And oh, Lord, look what happened. Oh, Bills defense, like, just was terrible, and the Rams just run roughshod over these guys. So I said that I want my formal apology. You can do it written form, audio form. Y'all can just look at me. That's okay. I know what y'all are thinking in your minds, and it's okay. It's all right. Okay. The first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem. So admit that you have a problem, and we can just move on.
I was waiting for you to bring this up. I'm glad you did, because
let's just get it out of the way. Yeah.
Well, did you look at the stats, Chris?
Did I look at the stats?
Mm-hmm. From the game?
I looked at the final. I looked at the final score. I watched the whole game.
Yeah. The Rams didn't play a good game, right?
The Rams aren't a very good team.
Is it my turn? Am I talking?
Oh, you go ahead.
Am I talking? The Rams didn't play a good game. The Rams played a perfect game. Like perfect. There is not one area of that team where you could go, oh, they didn't play well. It was the perfect game. It's not sustainable, right? You were on. Perfect. And they won by 2 points. 2 points. Like, am I worried? Like, if I pick the Bills, do I still think the Bills are the best team in the AFC? Absolutely. Because you ran into a team that had everything down to a T, converted like 70 or 80% on third down. Puka Nacua was making insane catches. Cooper Kupp, all these like one-handed catches that you would drop 50-50 balls, they were getting them. It was the most perfect game that they played, and they won by 2 points.
Couldn't you say that the same thing about the Bills? Could the Bills play any better on offense? Josh Allen had the biggest game, stats of a quarterback in the history of the NFL. They did everything right on offense, the Buffalo Bills did, and they still lost the game. So couldn't you say it the other way as well? What did the Bills do on offense? They scored like almost every single drive that they had. And their defense, isn't Buffalo supposed to be like this defensive juggernaut with this defensive-minded head coach? Like, we know the Rams are an offensive-minded team. The Bills are supposed to be this like defensive guru team or whatever, and they just got trounced. I was told Matt Milano is the difference maker. Matt Milano is coming back. Matt Milano has won All-Pro in his 10 years in the NFL, and he was on the field, and it felt good to have 58 out there, and they gave up 44 points. So if anybody doesn't see that as a red flag, I don't know what to tell you. Now they're not going to get home field. Last week you were talking about, how are you going to go into Buffalo and beat Buffalo in Buffalo? Well, you're not going to have to go into Buffalo because there's no way they're going to get the 1 seed.
Again, I didn't say that. I said if they get the 1 seed. I said I'm worried because if the Chiefs get the 1 seed in the playoffs, they're going to be tough to beat. But I said if the Bills get the playoff seed, I'm not going to want to go into Buffalo and try and play.
But you agree now that they're probably not going to get the 1 seed.
No, they're not. The Chiefs will get the 1 seed.
And they're tied right now with Pittsburgh for the 2 seed. So it's a very good chance that they're the 3. So they might not even be a top 2 seed.
I would say it's a chance, not a very good chance. It's a chance.
I'm just saying, like, this whole Buffalo is the best team in the NFL. Like, we just gotta put that in the trash bin and set it on fire. Because
who's the best team in the NFL?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh my God! Still going on the Chiefs.
I don't know why we have to keep going back and forth with this. Like, you can keep hating on the Chiefs all you want. They got the best record in the NFL. They got the best coach. They got the best quarterback. As long as that's all those three things are still there, that you can't change my mind.
So, did they have to doink a field goal again to win at home? Like, it's got to end eventually.
Says who? Y'all say
Says-
there's bad voodoo. You say that like everybody's being made to get the Chiefs to win. The refs are on their side. Everything's on their side, but they're gonna lose. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. Either everything's for them or it's not. He doesn't know what to say.
I want to go back to the Rams and Bills for a second as well, because remember, they won by 2 points. One of them was a blocked punt, so it was really 37 points in offense, right?
Mhm.
What else have I got here?
The biggest margin of victory is also against the Saints at 13 points. I'm with Mark. The Chiefs are great. They have the best record, but it's going to run out. We can't keep winning games by last-second field goals.
They're treating the regular season like a preseason. As soon as the playoffs start, they'll just flip a switch, and that's what's going to happen with them. So they're just testing stuff. They do weird plays. They're just testing the waters. The
It's
defense
the
is kind of
fashion
just
that they've
chilling.
won the games. It's just like that's the only reason I hold them back from saying like if they were just crushing it, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. But they're not.
They're not crushing it, and they're going to get found out. I'm going to take the Steelers to beat them.
There's one team that can beat them. It's the Steelers. It's not the Bills, though.
team.
The AFC, there's only one team
What
that
you
can
mean
beat
it's
them.
not the Bills? The Bills just beat them.
No, in a playoff game. Not.
How are you watching Josh Allen score 6 touchdowns,
I think Bills
carry
can
this
beat
team on his back, and you want to go, the Steelers will definitely beat them?
Because the Steelers have a real defense. Okay. They have a quarterback that has actually played well in playoff games, which Josh Allen has choked in multiple playoff games that he's had. And what's that?
Go on.
And the Buffalo Bills have never shown that they're able to make a deep playoff run. They've always just choked it away. The Steelers, I trust their organization more. I trust their head coach more. I trust Russell Wilson in a playoff game right now more than I trust Josh Allen. I just absolutely do. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are very similar in the way that they play regular seasons, and they've never shown the ability to turn it in the playoffs. And until they show me that they can do that, I would never jump on that train. They have to show me that they can do it. And they've never shown me that they can do it in a playoff game.
Are you talking about a team, or are you talking about a player?
I'm talking about a team. I'm talking about an organization. I'm talking about a coaching staff. I mean, you can, if you want to expand it to the entire team or what have you, yeah, you can do that as well. I mean, I
want to go back to 2022 divisional round against the Chiefs, 42-36. Josh Allen, 27 of 37, 329 yards, 4 touchdowns, 11 carries, 68 yards. I mean, like, what more do you want from him in the playoffs at the best team in the dynasty team?
How many points did they give up?
But you're talking about Josh Allen. You're like, Josh Allen in the playoffs.
Well, he's a part of it. I said the quarterback, I said the coach, the organization, and all that is the same. What is different about that? They just gave up 44 to the Rams. So you're telling me that if they play another team in the playoffs, that you're not worried that they're going to give up another 40 point, like just get rocked off the field? It's entirely possible. It's more probable to me that they're gonna lose like that than win a game. That's just the way I see it. They've had a cupcake schedule all year. They played the Ravens, they lost. They played the Texans, they lost. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. The Chiefs are not going to show them everything they have during the regular season because they know they're going to save that for when they meet them in the playoffs. So it's going exactly as it's supposed to be scripted. They play the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots twice.
I think what I have an argument with you, Chris, a little bit is the fact that I'm not saying that the Bills are a lock to win a Super Bowl, but it's hard not to say that they don't have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
I tell you what.
You're like there is no way that the Buffalo Bills can make it to the Super Bowl.
Here's what I give them. I give them a 1% chance. If Patrick Mahomes breaks his leg before the playoffs start, okay. If Lamar Jackson gets a phantom injury, doesn't want to play anymore, and then does just like sits on the sidelines, okay, that might happen. If Russell Wilson gets hurt and Watt gets hurt and Mike Tomlin retires before the playoffs start, then if all those happen before the playoffs start, they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
So what AFC teams are you just Chiefs, Steelers? That's it. That's the only two teams.
That's all there are.
Okay.
That's all there are. I mean, I just don't see any other teams having a chance when I look at the standings, when I look at the teams, when I look at how they're being played and all that stuff. I just like, if you want to say Buffalo's the third team, that's fine. I just think it's two and then the rest of the AFC.
Okay. So what about well, that's fine. Never mind. We'll get to that later on.
Yeah, we will. Well, okay, Chris, who's the MVP this season?
Saquon Barkley.
You know what
So
I
Josh,
can't stand? What else can't stand, Derek? Josh Allen single-handedly carried this man into the playoffs for his fantasy league. Without him, he doesn't make it, and he still won't. He scored 72 points in our fantasy league, 6 touchdowns
in a loss
over the last 2 weeks. Right?
I mean, you lose your MVP if you lose a game. I mean, I don't understand that. Does a Super Bowl? So if that was a Super Bowl and he had put up those numbers in a loss, was he going to be the Super Bowl MVP? No, you got to win the game. You know that. So what are you talking about? Yeah, I gotcha. Gotcha.
No.
Well, he's not talking about a game. He's talking about league MVP.
I'm talking about the season. League MVP. Who is the MVP? You're saying Saquon.
Saquon is about to break the all-time rushing record. The Philadelphia Eagles would be nowhere close to their 11-2 record if it wasn't for him on the team. He's totally changed that team's trajectory.
Where would the Bills be without Josh Allen?
I don't know. What would their other quarterback be?
He scored 6 touchdowns on the weekend. The other week, he scored a receiving touchdown and a throwing touchdown on the same play. Never been done before.
Listen,
oh wow!
Chris has some vendetta against the
I don't know what it
Bills,
is,
but it's
it's
all good.
Listen, I have vendettas against people that don't show up in the and teams that don't show up in the postseason. That's my vendetta. That's the same reason why I don't like the Ravens. I don't have anything personal against the Bills. I don't have anything personal against the Ravens. They have never. I'm 40 years old. I've been watching these teams in the current construction for a long time. They can't win playoff games.
You have vendetta against your own team, right? Then
what's that?
Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, what have the Packers done for the last decade?
They've gone to the playoffs many times and haven't done anything.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, if that's your case, you have a vendetta against your own team.
I've always had a vendetta against my own team. I'm more negative on the Packers than probably anybody else that I've ever met. So
you put the Packers in your contender.
But they're in your contender. That's what I'm
because
saying.
They're in the it's the they don't. If the Chiefs were in their conference, they wouldn't be a contender. That's the whole point of the whole thing. It's not about just how good that individual team is. It's who they have to play to get to the Super Bowl.
So
like nobody.
The Packers' chances more than you're saying. You like the Packers' chances more than the Lions and the Eagles.
No, I don't like the Packers' chances more than the Lions or the Eagles.
But they're still a contender.
Yeah, I still have them as a contender.
Okay,
with the Bengals.
I would add, I don't want to have to do this. I would add the freaking Minnesota Vikings in there as a contender now. I don't know what's going on up there. I thought they were done, and now they're playing really well. The Eagles struggled a little bit this past week. Their passing game, A.J. Brown I don't know what he's doing. He's acting a little diva, and the Detroit Lions they're just beat to hell right now, and they got Jared Goff. So, I mean, I just think the NFC is just a lot more wide open because you have the Kansas City Chiefs and the AFC, and you can say the Chiefs suck and they're not going to do anything. If you want to write off Patrick Mahomes, a 12-1 team, then you could do that.
I don't know why Jared. I mean, he gets all of this flack, but I mean, Jared Goff played played a pretty good football game against your Green Bay Packers.
I mean, if you put in the top 25 quarterbacks in the league in that offensive system with that offensive line and those weapons, they would put up the same exact numbers or better than Jared Goff. So
not Josh Allen.
What's that?
Not Josh Allen. He choked.
No, in the regular season. This is regular season.
I don't think Goff's that horrible. I mean, Goff's not like in the bottom half of the NFL quarterbacks. I'm sorry, he's just not. He's not a top 10 quarter. He's a top 15.
Okay, you could say he's a top 15.
Yeah,
I just
quit giving the guy so much flack. Is all I'm saying. He's not.
I'm not giving him flack. I'm just saying that he's being carried by his team instead of him carrying.
Oh yeah, great offense. But what I'm saying, he still just takes. I mean, outside of his one game of 5 interceptions, the guy, for the most part, takes care of the football. And
when I watch Jared Goff, I just don't go, ooh. I don't.
Nobody's doing that. I mean, obviously, you're not doing that unless you're watching a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson.
Geno Smith.
No. Geno Smith. Y'all get warm and fuzzy when y'all watch Caleb Williams. You know what do you have? Hey, the first half. What do you have? He had
Don't say y'all.
4 yards in the first half of a game. 4 yards, but he's on the trajectory. He's up. He's going up.
That's been Mark. That hasn't been me, Chris. Let's get that right.
Yeah.
All I've said about Caleb Williams is like give the guy more than half a season before you make a judgment on him.
When Tyson Bagent has a better season than you do, you just have to look in the mirror and just admit that it's a failure. So,
see, it's like, so if you, okay, hang on. If you were the GM of the Bears right now, you would be looking at quarterbacks in the draft and getting.
If I was the GM of the Bears, I would say we just got our Jamarcus Russell. That's what I would say.
Also, I mean, Caleb's numbers against the 49ers, 17-23, 134, 2 touchdowns.
Like, yeah. No. Y'all ain't going to do this. No. He's done this every game for the last, 6 games that they've lost 7 in a row. He's done this every game. He is absolutely horrifyingly terrible in the first half of these games. Terrible. And then they get down by 3 scores. The other team starts playing prevent, and then he starts just accumulating all these stats to make it look good. How many times did he get sacked?
I don't know. I didn't watch that stupid game.
Okay, exactly. You didn't even watch it. So he has been terrible, awful.
I agree with you, Chris. I mean, from the get go, I told you. We sat there and Mark was talking about how he thought Caleb Williams was going to have a pretty good year. I sat there and said, "Hey, I think the guy's a little cocky. I think he's a little overrated." I hope he turns it around. I hope the organization turns around. I'm not saying that. Also, Caleb Williams hasn't been put in the best situation. I mean, obviously, it's a joke of a coaching staff that they've had, and the way that team is managed is horrible. I mean, it's next. You put them next to the Cleveland Browns.
Chicago Bears have been an NFL team for over 100 years. They had never fired a head coach during the regular season until Caleb Williams came to town. Congratulations, Caleb Williams. You have broke 100-year track record of the Bears never firing a coach.
Fired. It was a coach.
Oh, it was him. It was absolutely him.
It's a coach not knowing when to call a timeout with 30 seconds.
No, because there's pressure when you draft the next Tom Brady as your quarterback and you lose 6 games in a row or 5 games or whatever it was.
Matt Eberflus? You were the one at the start of the season that said he'll be gone.
He sucks. The guy's trash. He's not a good coach. He never was.
Why was everybody saying that Caleb was going to have a great season, that they were going to be a wild card team?
Everybody. Who's everybody?
Well, I guess Mark's going to jump off that bandwagon now. But
no,
you were talking.
I said I like that the Bears bought him some support. Like they went all in. Unlike Bryce Young and the Panthers, they traded everyone away to get him, so he had no support. I said I like what they did.
Just real quick, shout out to Bryce Young.
Yeah, right. We'll get to Bryce. We'll get to Bryce. Okay. Yeah. We'll get to Bryce. I want to talk about him too. No, I said they've put some support around him. I don't like the coaching staff. I said it. The Seattle Seahawks OC went to the Bears. He sucked. I knew he did. So I said that. But I said with their support cast, they could be a 9-8 team. And I was wrong about that, but I don't think that Caleb is a lost cause.
What's the reason why they won 8 games last year and they might win 5 games this year? What's the difference? It was the same coaching staff. They upgraded their players on both sides of the ball, and they got Caleb Williams.
Wasn't the same coaching staff, same head coach.
Okay, the same head coach. That's what we're talking about, the same head coach or what have you. So how can they win 8 games with this just ragtag team and Tyson Bagent and Justin Fields, and then all of a sudden they bring in the savior of the franchise and they're on a 7-game losing streak?
Oh, well, last year you had the division wasn't as tough as what it was, number one. Number two, I have to look at who they played this year versus last year. I'm sure it was a tougher schedule. And yeah, too, I think they got themselves in a bit of a hole, and it all culminated at Thanksgiving, and now the season's a wash. But if you're the Bears GM, if you're the Bears ownership, you need to go out there. I would be giving up the house to try and get someone like Shanahan.
They want Ben Johnson. That's what they want.
Also, let's be real. The way Caleb Williams came in and handled all that, he obviously wanted a percentage stake in the ownership of the franchise, some type of
That
ownership.
was a report.
I don't know how true it is, but either way, he came in. Okay, I'm just saying he came in really hot, and I'm not sure the chemistry. I mean, you can literally see his teammates do not like. I feel like a lot of them do not like him. They don't.
The punter hates him. The punter's been having to put in overtime all year. I feel bad. That punter, that poor punter.
And that does take account for that. I mean, having teammates on your side is a lot better. So I think he's going to have to become a little bit more of a team player, and
here's what I'll
coaching
say.
staff and the management has to get a little bit better. Some pieces
They
around
need a dominant figure who's an offensive coach to be the head coach.
Yeah.
Chicago Bears don't like to do that. They love defensive head coaches just because they're Chicago and all that stuff. So if they get a defensive coach that's just going to let Caleb do whatever he wants and just get his OC or whatever they do, they're going to be the same old Bears. They need a Shanahan. They need a Ben Johnson. They need a
That's
what
who
have
they
you.
need. I think Ben Johnson would be a great.
I just don't know if he's going to go. I mean, I don't know if he's going to go there.
Well, he would leave Detroit for Chicago. I'm not sure, but that would be I feel like a great spot for him.
Somebody's got to put Caleb in his place. And if they just keep letting him run roughshod, you're going to see the same whatever we got going on right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just think, but again, I just don't want to give up on him as a prospect. I think he's got,
got a good heart. Mark. You got a good heart.
Well, I think it's so unfair that these rookie quarterbacks get thrown into the worst teams in football. Bryce Young, let's talk about him now. Like, he was awful last year. And everyone's like, oh, he's a wash. He's done. They're giving up on him. Bit of confidence behind him. Team's a little bit better, more gelled. He's playing well. I mean, like, it's really interesting because if you go back 6 weeks ago, the Panthers were definitely done with him. They're going to come and get a new quarterback next year. Now, I think they keep him. I mean, he's doing well. I mean, and then that comes with experience of playing in the NFL for a season and a half. It's tough. It's a big upgrade from college, and I mean, he's looked really good. Almost beat the Chiefs. Almost beat the Eagles, who are arguably two of the best teams in the league. So and that's in his second year. That's after being dumped, having a terrible O-line. I mean, the dude's on the run 24/7. And he looks a little bit better, so just wait and see.
He's also mature. I feel like he also came into it though level-headed, mature. I guess that's my difference between Bryce Young and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams came in so hot, talking so much, and that's the difference for me. But I'm very happy for him, and it sounds like he's going to get another shot next year. Prove his thing. So yeah.
Yeah, well, let's stay on the Panthers because the team they played, the Eagles. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was saying this team is like a juggernaut. I don't know how you beat them. And now they won the game, and you have their wide receiver being like, yeah, our passing game sucks. You have another one of their players, Brandon Graham, goes, yeah, they don't like each other. They used to be friends, now they don't. Like, very public. And I think this falls back on Sirianni. Sirianni doesn't really have control of that locker room. You can't be 11-2 in the playoffs, one of the best teams in the NFC, real chance at the Super Bowl, and have your wide receiver complaining because he didn't get enough throws that game, and then have another guy saying, "Oh yeah, they actually don't like each other anymore," publicly. It like all of a sudden there seems to be a bit of a mess happening at the Eagles. What do you guys think? Are they still? If this is like a one bad game, they'll be all right, or do we think there's like some underlying problems here?
Definitely not good, I would say. It reminds me, it's very similar to the CD Dak Prescott thing last year. Y'all remember the playoff game when they're playing the Packers, and for some reason CD, who had like the most tremendous season of all the wide receivers, all of a sudden he didn't get a couple passes thrown to him at the beginning of the game, and he was just crying on the sideline. It's this whole diva wide receiver thing. The only good thing for the Eagles is that they really have two number ones on their team. Devontae Smith, who had been hurt, who just came back. If I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm just going to let A.J. Brown just kind of, if he wants to sulk, he can sulk. I have to move on for the betterment of the team. And we have to use Devontae Smith, and we have to use Saquon, and our defense has to play lights out. I still think they can go to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I just think they're being run by their two great coordinators that they have right now, and not so much the head coach. I mean, he just seems more of like a college head coach to me, who just I don't know. He's just there as kind of like a figurehead and wants to rile folks up. And I don't see him. He just doesn't do a whole lot of X's and O's, it feels like, to get his team under control. So
that's his job.
I know it's his job.
Like, you don't have to be a great schemer or a great mind when it comes to offense or defense, but like, you need to create a culture. You need to have these guys under control. And like, this is not the first time AJ Brown has like publicly spoken out, and it just creates bad vibes. And like I said, like, I'm not even an Eagles fan, but like last week, 2 weeks ago, I was like, this team is unreal. It's so good to watch. Now I'm like, I don't know, like there seems to be a weird culture there. I think it falls in Sirianni.
Some of these receivers, man. I mean, obviously you had the Stephon Diggs thing in Buffalo. That all happened, right? We know the Antonio Brown situation or what have you. Like, and we've had these receivers do this in the past, so it's nothing new. It's, you know, you had the Terrell Owens. I mean, there's been so many of these guys have done these things. I just don't. And I think the point was made. I think Nick Wright made it. The dude's on like his third contract, so like he's gotten his money. I just don't. I don't know what he's doing. Obviously, if he was a better team guy, he'd probably still be on the Titans right now. But they didn't want him anymore, and it had worked out for a little while. But yeah, definitely not good. I'm not gonna try to defend that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like if I'm a guy that's trying to win a Super Bowl, I don't care how we win. Give the ball to Saquon 20 times a game. I mean, Jalen does have some problems passing the ball. Like we've spoken about that. We don't think that he's a top tier quarterback. But again, like when you got your defense playing the way it is and your running game and your O-line is killing it, like you can't have everything going well. It's hard to do that. So I don't know. It just, to me, it's like what happens in the playoffs if throughout the week the intensity is not there because there's a bit of a downer around the camp because of some comments made, and then they're down 10 points early on in a playoff game and they've got to start throwing the ball and they can't. And I don't know. I think it's not a good look for the Eagles, especially with how they're traveling right now. The other team in the NFC, the Lions, a lot of injuries, and the last 2 weeks they've really let teams back into the game. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about. They're pretty much playing with no one on defense, like no names.
It was like a blast from the past, man. It was like watching a game from like 2010. You had Quan Alexander, and you had a Jamal Adams signing out there. They signed all these names who were good players 10 years ago. Like they just signed them off the street that week. They just put them right on the team. Right? Yeah.
So I mean, like, good for them. They still won. But like, is this sustainable? Like, do you think that they're like? I think they've come closer to the pack now in the NFC. The NFC before, I thought the Lions were so far ahead than the Eagles. But after last week with what we just spoke about with Philly and now with the Lions, I think the pack's getting a little bit shorter.
Well, I think what it's going to do, and what you saw in that game, was Dan Campbell has no confidence in his defense whatsoever. So that's why he was going for it on every single fourth down, and it didn't bite him that game. It did. When they went for it on fourth down on like their own like 30-yard line in the third quarter, and they didn't get it, and the Packers got a touchdown and took the lead. I don't know how that would be sustainable in a playoff scenario, right? I just don't see how you can go for on fourth down that many times. And like I said, I think it's just a thing about their defense. And the thing about these defensive players, they're not coming back, right? It's not like, oh, in 2 weeks we're going to get our guys back and then we can get all whatever. Like these guys that they've lost, you know, Hutchinson and all these guys, they're out for the pretty much the year, right? Yeah. So I mean, they can continue to outscore teams, and I guess that's going to be their MO going forward, is just put so many points up on the board, but they need home field advantage. If they want to do that, they need to play on their little AstroTurf in Detroit. If they have to go on the road to a Philadelphia or something like that, which would be the biggest, probably the only team they have to go on the road on in the winter to play in that crappy field in Philly, you know, I think that would be a problem for them. As long as they secure home field, I would have them as the front runner to get to the Super Bowl because they can just outscore teams. But if they have to go on the road, I mean, Minnesota, it's a dome too. Minnesota still has to play them once, and they're only one game behind right now. So I don't want to say never, but Detroit, it feels like they have like a loss coming. They've won 11 in a row. They've kind of skirted by these last 2 weeks between Chicago and Green Bay. And it just feels like, some of the wheels are coming off, especially on defense.
Yeah, and even if they outscore teams, like if it turns into a shootout, you mean Jared Goff, you know, it's not like he's Josh Allen. It could get, you know, I know they run the ball so well, but if it gets into a shootout, I don't know. I think there's some cracks appearing, which excites me because obviously Seattle's in the NFC, and I want the NFC to be a little bit more competitive, and I think it will be. Any other Lions comments before I get to the real team?
Oh, you go to your real team, man. Which real team are you talking about?
4 wins in a row, first in the NFC West. Oh, my
God.
Third seed currently in the playoffs. Big game this Sunday night.
Representing some gear.
My boys. We haven't spoken about them all year. Like, we really haven't. But
Well, they haven't been relevant all year.
We
They have,
talked about them
exactly.
a
It's
lot,
good.
like in the first couple of episodes. But after that,
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little
well, they went
bit
3-0.
defense.
You talked about them.
So, I mean, defensively, killing it. Offensively, just moving the chains along, doing well. Gino's been a lot better. Hasn't done an intercept for 3 games. We're starting to gel, and this is why I'm so excited for this Sunday, because all year it's like, oh, all I keep hearing is about, the Packers are, contenders. The Packers could win the Super Bowl. This, that. Well, they got to get through us first, and I think people are going to be surprised. And for Seattle, they're 8-5, and Green Bay's 9-4. So you win this game, both teams go to 9-5. Pretty much Seattle gets the playoff spot. And once you get to the playoffs, I just mentioned the NFC is a little bit wide open. Anything can happen. So we'll see. I mean, no one's really talking about them because they haven't been on primetime TV. When they have played games, like on Sunday against Cardinals, they've gone up against the Bills and Rams, which is a shootout. So no one's really watching them. I'm ready for Sunday night under the lights in our action green jerseys. I'm just ready for everyone to see that this team has come a long way since we last played primetime against.
So what are you saying this team is then? What are they to you?
What do you mean? What's their ceiling?
Yeah. What is their tier right now? Then you just really talked them up. It sounded like contender to me.
I mean, I think anyone that makes the playoffs is a contender. That's how I define a contender. Do I think that they're on the same level as a Philly and a Detroit? No, I don't. But once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. I mean, look, the Green Bay won it from the 6th seed. Do you think anyone thought the Giants were going to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl that year when they were undefeated? Like, you get to the playoffs, it's one game. You never know. I just spoke about the problems at Philly, just spoke about the injuries at the Lions. We get a home wildcard game. We get through that. Who knows? And I can say the same thing for Tampa. I can say the same thing for Green Bay. I can say the same thing for Minnesota. You just move along. You get through. I don't know. I think the NFC is wide open.
You're not going to say that. You're not going to say that for Atlanta, though.
No, Atlanta's cooked. Sorry.
They can make it into the playoffs.
No. Sorry.
They're only one game back, and they have the tiebreaker. Well,
they suck.
You're saying anybody that gets in has a chance. That's what you're telling me.
Anybody
they're one
that
game
gets
back, and they have the
in
tie.
That is playing good football. Okay, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Atlanta, fucking. Sorry. Oh, I shouldn't have sworn.
Atlanta, no! You got to edit that out.
I'll edit that out. Atlanta are awful.
Well, Kirk Cousins is awful.
We'll get to Atlanta. Sorry, let's stay on Seattle.
Jamie doesn't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's change the subject about Seattle.
So do you want me to talk about the game?
Let's talk about the game. I mean, how are you feeling, Chris? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Do you think it's going to be a good one? What's your feeling coming here?
I think this is going to come down to if one player plays.
There we go.
You know who that player is?
I don't know. Josh Jacobs?
No.
Jordan Love?
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
I've talked about him I've talked about him for years now. Who is he? Come on. Oh my God, he doesn't know. If Jair Alexander plays the game, they win the game. If he doesn't play, they lose the game. It's as simple as that.
Really?
Do you know who we had guarding Amon St. Brown? I know you don't follow the Packers too much, not the all 22. You know who's guarding their number one wide receiver?
Who?
Keaton Nixon. Do you know who he is?
No, I never heard of him.
He's a kick returner.
Okay.
And he was going number one. So our secondary without a true number one cornerback is terrible. We lost 2 of our 3 safeties against the Lions. Both of them got concussed. So our secondary, we have a bunch of just 4th stringers right now. Y'all got Lockett. Y'all got Njigba. Y'all got Metcalf. There is nobody to guard any of those guys unless we have Jair. We cannot play man coverage unless we have Jair, and we have to play a zone. And as soon as we play a zone, your little possession receivers are going to pick us apart. It's as simple as that. He practiced today. If he plays, we win. If he doesn't play, we lose. You can book it. You can write it down. You can do whatever you need to do with it. So I hope he plays. I don't know what he's going to do because he hasn't played 45% of the games over the last 3 years.
All right, so when he's chasing Metcalf around the field, who's marking Jackson Smith and Jigba?
Well, then they can. So what they'll do is they'll play man, and Jair will cover Metcalf 1-on-1, and then they can actually. I know it seems like wrong, but you would actually you're putting 2 on probably in Jigba, and then you're probably having McKinney kind of guard Lockett a little bit. So it gives you a lot more options to whatever. You don't have Walker playing, right? Kenneth Walker's out, so I mean that's a big piece, right? Isn't he out?
I mean,
I don't know.
Did you
Charbonnet
see Charbonnet last week?
He went
The
off.
Packers' rush defense has been a lot better. You saw them; they kind of shut down the two-headed monster in Detroit a lot. But they can't defend the pass right now. They just can't do it because they have a bunch of freaking scrubs back there. So we need our number one guy. So I know everybody thinks it's going to be a Jordan Love game or what have you. Like I think it's going to be an offensive-minded game. A lot of points going to be put on the board. So I just
that was
just
the
hope he
problem
can
last
get a gun.
week against the Lions for you guys. Like, was the fact that they were against St. Brown. All their attention was them. So Patrick just went off, man. And
Yeah, there was just nobody to cover any of those guys.
them, but yeah.
Also, Kenneth Walker is a day-to-day, so he might play.
He's day-to-day. He might play. That's fine. But obviously, it has huge implications for both teams. I think when the Rams play on Thursday, that's going to be a big game, right? So if the Rams win on Thursday, then Seattle. I mean, y'all play them last week of the season, if I'm correct, right? Y'all played the Rams last week. So if they win and y'all lose, you have the same record, and y'all beat them the first time, right? Did y'all beat them? Oh, okay. So that puts you right into that second spot, then I guess. So obviously the Packers have a little more, breathing room as far as like a wild card if they don't win. But it's huge implication for both teams. You don't want to be the 7th seed. You sure as heck do not want to be the 7th seed. And the Seattle can't. I mean, it's hard for them if they lose this game. So huge implications for both teams. I'm excited to see it. I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly don't. I
think it's going to be a great game.
The text messages between you guys for that game.
Well,
Mark goes like 0 dark 30 when the Seahawks are playing. Like it doesn't matter. Like we'll be texting and the Seahawks come on and then like 4.5 hours of silence and then they win. He's like, "That's right, we win." And I was like, so I don't know if he means it or what. He goes to get into his little binocular vision. I don't know what he's doing. He's praying or doing whatever over there.
I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. It's my birthday on Sunday, and I'm off work on Monday. So you can guarantee by the time kickoff comes around, I'm going to be a couple of pints deep. I'll be. You'll hear me. You'll hear from me. Don't worry. I'll be vocal. I don't know. There's something about the action green jerseys that Seattle wear. It just gets us going. I'm ready.
There's something about Packers Seahawks. No matter who seems to be the quarterbacks, no matter who the teams are, these games are always incredible games that go right down to the end. Obviously, we've had the Fail Mary, we've had the botched onside kick, we've had there's been a lot of. We had the Hasselbeck saying they're going to get the ball and score, overtime. Al Harris got the pick 6. There's been a lot of huge moments. I'd love to see these teams play again in a playoff game in the first round. I think that would be a great game. So maybe they'll see each other again. It's very likely if, obviously, it could be a 3-6 matchup.
Hey, before we end this episode, I want to say, speaking of botched, how about the Cowboys game? A guy trying to pick up the block punt.
That was Brandon Bostic's cousin.
Good Lord.
I couldn't believe it. I didn't know the rules. Like, I was like, I'm not sure what happens here. But when I saw him fumble it, I was like, if this is a fumble, this is one of the dumbest things you could ever do. Like, don't even touch it because they were so far away from the chains.
And like as a special teams guy, that's all you do is special teams. So you get like 6 plays a game. Don't you think you'd be like studying these things and making sure you know everything about it when that's your only opportunity to play in the game?
All they kept showing was the from like 30 years ago. What was his name?
Leon Lett. The blocked field goal.
They tried to pick up the blocked field goal. And they're like, it happens and strikes again.
I think the worst part of that was Micah Parsons acting like his grandmother just died on the sidelines.
He walked right off the sideline. He didn't even stay.
I said, Micah, you guys were never in the playoff hunt. Like, it's frustrating, but get over it. I can't stand Micah Parsons.
And now he gets to play wherever he wants to on the field. And then he never plays he only plays like every 2 downs. He's never there. He gets too winded and he's always taking himself out of the game. Y'all are ripping Anthony Richardson. Micah Parsons, I swear he only plays like 60% of the snaps. What is he doing? You're a pass rusher. You got to be on there every time they pass the ball. You got to be on the field for any long 3rd and long. That guy, he's a
I'm going to quickly fact check you on that 60%.
How many percent of the plays did he play?
83.
Okay, well, it
Either
felt
way,
like last
either
week.
way, he can't be acting like that. That's just
TJ
Yeah,
Watt,
right.
right? Who he wants to be a comparable at. He's out there every single play. So I mean,
actually,
and he's
sorry. Did you see Max Crosby?
nah.
He
What?
just broke a record. He's played like 790 continuous snaps.
That's what I'm saying. These guys are
Oh,
putting in
wow.
just as much effort as he is. So I don't understand it.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, I found, where is it? Sorry, 387 consecutive defensive snaps.
Yeah, I mean that guy's out there. He looks like he's about to have a freaking asthma attack. I mean, he goes like 100%, and his team sucks. He's not even playing for anything.
I mean,
I guess Cowboys aren't now either.
I mean, Max Crosby and TJ Watt, those two guys. If I was starting a franchise from scratch, one of those would be like the first guys I pick.
Yeah, even like a Myles Garrett, man. Like that guy had like two like he had both of his feet were hurt. And he was still playing like every snap out there. Freaking
yeah.
Fred Warner's playing with a broken ankle. Whatever. That's the Cowboys for you.
NFL is mulling replay assists on face masks. What do you think about that?
Oh my God, that's got to be fake. Don't tell me that's a real story.
It's a real story.
No, it's not. You
Yeah.
got to be kidding me. Oh my God. I just can't. Oh, that's what y'all. Hey, the fans asked for it. Y'all want more penalties? You shall get ask and you shall receive. Here we go.
It's not more penalties. It's the right calls, like obvious calls. I missed a lot. I mean, Joe Burrow had his face grabbed and pulled. Nothing. He got the biggest late hit from Micah Parsons the other week. Nothing. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, that's a little flick on the forehead.
Oh,
like, flag,
here we go.
flag.
Yeah. No, it's rigged for Mahomes, but they have no chance to go to
I
Super
love
Bowl.
Mahomes.
Jordan Love got nailed in the head by Zadarius Smith against the Lions. I had no problem with it. He'd already thrown the ball. It was like it was a bad pass. So like you move on. I don't care.
Needs a few hits in the head. All right. What else? What else is on this? I mean, I only know the Seahawks and Packers are playing this week. I don't know any other games.
Well, you
'Cause
got the Rams and the 49ers. We talked
Steelers
about Thursday night.
Steelers and Eagles.
Steelers and Eagles is this week?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
Damn.
big one.
And you got the Bills and the Lions.
Oh my God, this is a
And
huge
those
week.
Lions, yeah.
Yeah. You need to tell the wife that, hey, look, honey, I know it's been a lot of football, but there's going to be a lot more coming here.
I know, it's my birthday. That's the best part about it. Like, I get complete freedom to do whatever I want. So
Well,
if I want to
sounds like
watch, which I actually want to say, NFL on Christmas Day, I'm not a fan. Okay, it is hard enough to convince my wife Thursday and Sunday to watch football. Thanksgiving, we have to pick 2 out of the 3, and even that's a bit of like pulling teeth sometimes. Now I have to try and convince her Christmas Day, let's watch some football.
I only get to watch it if my team's playing. I get to watch it. If my team's not playing, then I can't turn on I don't know, Giants Saints on Christmas Day. I can't make that fly.
That's the issue. Christmas Day is
Chiefs and the
Steelers, and then Ravens and Texans. They're 2 awesome games.
Yeah, can't miss
The
those.
only thing that might get me is that Beyonce is playing halftime in one of the games. So you can settle that in. Do my best.
Is Jay-Z going to be there?
Yeah.
You know what? That's going to do it. That's going to do it for the week.
Look, I didn't say anything bad.
Hey,
That should be
Rogers got his back. That's all that matters.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that we missed you want to talk about?
No, I felt good.
All right, next week's going to be a very, very heavy NFL week because we've got a week off with college. So, we'll go through those big games on the weekend. We'll review them and what it means for the playoffs. But
I got through a whole episode without talking about Aaron Rodgers. So I just want to say I get kudos for that.
Yeah, that is good. We'll give you the Aaron Rodgers chair again next week because this one went a little bit over time. But all right, everyone, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, appreciate it. Peace.